Andy Holloway is one of the hosts of the award-winning Fantasy Footballers podcast. He's one of the founders of the Fantasy Footballers. He authored the children's book, My Football Family. He's a dad of 3, and he loves both ice cream and pickleball. These are his late-round perspectives. This episode is sponsored by DraftKings. There's no better way to lock in your fantasy dominance early than with Best Ball on DraftKings, where you draft once and ride your roster all season long. And right now, DraftKings is giving all customers a can't-miss offer. Draft one, get one. Enter a lineup in the $15 million Best Ball contest for just $20, and you'll score another Best Ball ticket to play free for a share of that $15 million, giving you a second shot to win big. It's easy. Just draft your dream team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. Across the whole season, every breakout star, every clutch play, every touchdown will count towards your quest for a share of $15 million. I'm drafting over there all the time. It's an absolute blast. So download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app now to draft your $20 Best Ball lineup to play for a share of $15 million and get a second ticket to play free for a share of that $15 million. That's 2 chances to win big without ever setting your lineup again. Draft one, get one, only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-3669. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. 1 per customer. Enter the Best Ball $15 million headliner contest by 9/4/25 to get 1 bonus entry. $20 entry fee required. Reward expires in 30 days. See terms at DraftKings.com/NFL-best-ball. Sponsored by DK. Now back to the show.
It is, it's go time, right? I mean, this is fun.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking I had Mike on year 1 with perspectives. I had Jason on year 2.
Yeah. Save the best for last.
That's what I wanted to say. Look, I was going to say, you were either going to react in a way that was, you hate me the most, which is not true,
right,
obviously.
Right,
I love you all 3 equally. And then I was going to extend an olive branch and be like, hey, Andy, we have a lot of things in common. You know, we're both adoptive parents, right?
Sure.
There's that.
That's true.
We both have, we're both nerdy at heart, right? So we have that.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, we both have annoying co-hosts. So
no question about that one. That one's the most solidified commonality between us.
Right? Yeah. Forget about the children. We're just going
to
go
that's
straight
good.
to the insanity of the co-hosts that we have. But no, man. I mean, it's great to sit down and talk to you. I haven't seen you guys. I was actually messaging Mike last week, and I haven't seen you guys, I don't think, since the Tampa FSGA.
Whoa.
Which was like legitimately when my daughter was like born and like an infant, and now she's going into 2nd grade.
That's time is weird, man. It flies.
It's really weird.
Time is weird.
The pandemic was in there, and like that.
Yeah, that was really a long time ago.
But it was like I'm a completely different person now. Now I'm the one who in those events will not go out and drink and stuff and be stupid. Like not
because we're old now.
Because we're old.
We're old parents now. Yeah.
That's exactly. Yeah. I'm like, this is now I understand, going back and just getting sleep as opposed to,
the value. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, man, I love having you on. I love talking to you. You're one of my favorites in the space. But I want to start out this conversation by talking about you guys and you in the fantasy space, because I said this in the show sheet, but you are old and I'm old now.
We are. We've gotten up there.
Really sad. But look, you guys have built a sincere empire with the fantasy footballers, and I've had the pleasure of being there pretty much from the beginning, or at least close to the beginning. I mean, I was a guest on your show year 1 or 2, I remember, because I was talking about Matt Ryan as a late round quarterback, which I think that was the year that he won MVP, which is good. But I want to ask you this question before we really dig into some of the player takes and some of the strategy takes. What's something that you've seen change the most? And you're doing a lot on the business side as well in fantasy football, but like, what's something that you've just seen sort of evolve through the years in this space, whether it's about, business, whether it's about how analysts approach things. We see thread bros out there all the time now on Twitter, which didn't exist when we started. Not to be the old man, yelling.
But we are. Get off my lawn with your threads.
Yeah, exactly. But what do you think has changed most? Like what's evolved the most?
It's so weird to be in this position because, we go way back. We felt like we were late to the party, which is how, I've been part of a couple industries in my life, in the professional sense. Both times I thought I was really late to whatever I was getting into, and it turns out you're kind of maybe earlier than you thought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot. Obviously, we've seen all of the massive transition of DFS and sports betting and that whole universe of regulation. And I feel like that's changed the landscape a lot in the last 10 years. But specifically with just redraft fantasy football, the kind of content that we're doing, I think you brought it up with the thread bros, but there's attention now versus maybe connection sort of, we predicated and do predicate a lot of our business on that relationship with the listener. Right. And I think podcasting in and of itself is really conducive to that relationship getting built in a way that radio, the 15-minute repeat yourself segments, maybe not so conducive. So that's a unique part of the kind of community building that, you do with all of your, which you've done well with all of your listeners, and, just connecting on a real 1-to-1 basis, or in our case, 3-to-1 basis. And now it's so attention seeking, right? It's so, and I kind of understand it. I don't, like you said, we don't want to be old man on the lawn situation with all of it. It's also it's so muddled, right? There's so much content and so many places to consume it. It's really a different media landscape altogether. So I understand the bend towards attention, right? And trying to just garner eyeballs as fast as you can. It's just, for me, that just seems like a really hard place to be in terms of having that long standing relationship with your fan and your audience. Yeah.
That's the thing I always go back to cause I don't know. In the end, I'm always they can obviously do what they want, however they want to approach their content. So I'll very rarely maybe I'll be snarky or whatever at times on Twitter and throw something out there and just be I'm not going to be a thread bro or whatever. But, in the end, I don't deeply care because they can do whatever they want from a content perspective. The one thing that I always kind of go back to because I see a lot of up and comers in the space, if you will, getting frustrated by the attention that those folks might be getting, whether it's on there or just clickbaity stuff on TikTok, wherever it may be. And the thing that I always try to tell people too, and I'd love to, I think this plays to what you're talking about, but you can agree or disagree, is just that when they do that, it's not a long lasting, long-term thing that they're doing, right? It's a very much in the moment. And if their goal is to generate clicks, is to generate short-term revenue, is to generate those very quick deals that they can make a buck off of and do fine in the short term, that's fine. I just think that you as an analyst have to really decide who you are and what you want to be, right? And if you want to be that kind of analyst, go for it. There's people that are quite successful in doing that.
100%.
But I think that what you guys have done, and obviously I approach my content differently than you guys do, just in the way that the Late Round Podcast is messaged and stuff, and the quick hitting format of it. But in the end, we always are, to me, it's so important to just have that connection with the audience in some way, so that we're going through this journey together, and it's not just me yelling at them, even though sometimes on the podcast it sounds like I'm yelling at them, right? Having that community. And is that, I did want to ask too, has that been the most rewarding part of sort of being part of this empire that you guys have created?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And I think, like you said, people can do it a lot of different ways with different goals in mind and different outcomes. Maybe part of the frustration with some of that attention seeking is literally just me falling for it. Yeah. Right. We live in such a kind of truth is a mystery. You got to dig a little deeper to make sure you're getting the real story. And it's oh, that story is a real story, but wait, no, it's coming from that source. So that they're trying to generate revenue for that thing. And it's
right.
like, and that's major media altogether everywhere. So
right.
finding like a real story or, you know, something authentic, maybe that's a good word to throw into the mix, is like, is there authenticity connected to it? And, you know, for us, that's like a huge priority, because I don't really know how you build a relationship inauthentically in terms of a brand or in terms of, you know, an audience and communicating with people. Like, if we had spun the show up and had tried to imitate other successful people identically in the space, we would have not had a differentiation of any kind. And we would have, you know, we also just wouldn't have communicated in a way that anybody connected with. And I think you'd probably say the same thing. It's like, you're doing something that's, you're passionate about it, the way that you communicate it, and then you're there for the long haul for the people that you're talking to. So yeah, I mean, for us, I think we take the biggest amount of pride in just, and we were surprised by it too, like when we were new, of people connecting with us and building that relationship, and the fact that podcasting, you know, it's like, you know, you're part of their jog every day, or you're part of the, you know, they're mowing the lawn every Saturday, or riding to work every day, or going to the gym. Like, that was a unique thing. Like, we absolutely thought that, like, even when we spun up like our first Patreon membership in the very first beginning of the year, we 100% thought everyone would leave at the end of December when the season was over.
Right.
And we were shocked that they didn't leave. It was like, oh, this is not just an exchange of value. This is not just, I'm paying you to receive this like tool and then I'm gone. It was more like, you know, thanks for bringing me this content that's given me joy. Thanks for walking with me in stupid ways through the whole season while you were screaming about your own team and I'm screaming about mine, whatever the case may be. That was the biggest shock and surprise early on for us, was like, oh, this is not just, I'm selling you a product. This is more like, we're doing this whole fantasy thing together year round. And so, you know, while we were surprised by it, it's also the thing that I think is the most exciting and satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Do you, you know, now that you've found this level of fame that you found, and I don't say fame, like, of course, like
niche fame, right?
Yeah. The funny part in talking to you guys is, like, I know you, and it's just hilarious whenever I have these conversations with people that I know that are now being stopped, you know, if you're at the grocery store or something, like whatever it may be. Did you ever struggle with people thanking you for what you're doing and all that, like that sort of thing? Like, for instance, like I'll go to the Fantasy Football Expo, and hopefully we see you guys there eventually.
Yeah. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Yes. So like I'll go to the expo, and then there's people that are so nice and you know, thanking me for the content and all this stuff. Yeah. And I genuinely feel a little bit uncomfortable. And sure. But then I have to take a step back and think about, oh, you know what? I listen to podcasts, right? And if I were to see the host of that podcast out in public, I feel a connection to that host, even though they don't know who I am necessarily. Totally. And so, like, I get that dynamic. And when I can put myself in that position, I'm like, okay, I get it. And so I'm going to be able to hopefully show off that I'm just a normal dude like these people are and stuff. But yeah. Is there that uncomfortability at times for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think for sure. And we kind of saw... I think we saw that connection the first time we did like the live shows, and it was you know, the numbers, right? You can go check your stats on your podcast downloads, right? But they're not sitting in the audience with you. And then when you talk to them afterwards, it's like, oh my gosh, that person knows me really, really well from the last 4 years of me talking into a microphone. I've never seen them before in my life, but they know me really well. And this relationship's been built. And so that was super humbling and weird. And it's like, you know, you and I work in this space that's so niche, and I don't know your wife, so I don't know like how into fantasy she is or not.
She's not.
Okay, my wife is not at all. And the other day when I went on Eisen the other day, which was super, super amazing.
Yeah, I saw some of that. It was great.
He's a freaking legend, and I had never been on with him, and so I send the little like interview to my wife, and she's like, that was really elegant gobbledygook. Like, that was her response to my
But
cool
you need
appearance.
that, right? You need that to just be like, hey, I was just talking to Rich Eisen, this guy like, that all of us grew up watching, and then your wife's like, so sweet, awesome.
She's like, yeah, I wish I could appreciate that more. And that's the funny thing about fantasy is it's like, it is this hyper niche like world, but if you're in it, and there are people in it in every walk of life, right? Like, you could be talking to anybody anywhere and be so shocked at how dedicated they are. I mean, I remember seeing Michael Bublé on Eisen.
Yeah.
He'd trade all his Grammys for a fantasy title, and he's in 8 leagues, and it's like, oh, there's another one of us, right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, no, it's super cool. It's humbling. I mean, we've got awesome people. You've got awesome people you work with, and it's fun to get to be creative in the space you love.
Exactly. We're lucky at the end of the
very fortunate.
Like it's just it's one of those things where I always like what honestly motivates me day to day to like do awesome content is that I don't want to lose my seat at the table. It's that it's honestly the Mike Tagliere, mentality of like just being grateful that you're there, you're able to do it, and you don't want to lose that spot. And so I want to. Like I'm competitive with other analysts only from that perspective, right? Like I want everyone to thrive and do awesome, but I'm also like, hey, I want to be the dude who was on Emeka Egbuka or that people remember for XYZ. Of course you do, right? Like I feel like if you don't have that, then like
pride in your game, right? It's pride in what you're doing.
It's no different than like an athlete in their craft or something like that, aside from the fact that we don't have to destroy our bodies.
No, this space is really unique in that like cooperative, friendly competition universe where it's like you want to stay at the table, you want to bring the best out there into the world, and God knows they have the receipts.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Literally every show at this point, like every live stream. Hey, do you remember when you did?
Goodness.
Like, oh my gosh. Yes. I remember.
Yeah. That's how time works.
So let's
say stuff and then stuff happens.
Let's give people some more content that they can throw in our faces when we're wrong.
Let's do it. Let's get some stuff wrong.
So I've been asking this question to Perspectives guests recently, but I think it's a really fun one and it's an important one. When we look back on this 2025 season that's about to begin, what do you think the overarching draft strategy is that we're going to say dominated this year?
So I don't know if you'll hear this answer anywhere else, but I think the one I'm going to go with is going to be maybe we'll start getting super in on all the rookies all the time. Like I think maybe the rookies will be part of the story here. We could very well be on the precipice of a third consecutive year where potentially a rookie tight end has a monster fantasy football role. Like I'm a big Tyler Warren fan. Yeah. I think he could have a huge impact. And we were talking for so long about how a rookie tight end could do nothing. And here we are maybe 3 years with that happening. And then just the way that things have gone, like Egbuka, obviously, his opportunity right out of the gate. We've got Genty, who almost gets left off half the boards just because he's so solidified as that number one at running back. But it's like, but Hampton, obviously. And I just wonder if kind of my drafting strategy this year has been like, I want those mystery bags at the rook, taking shots on rookies, getting the value later in the draft. And just realizing, now we even see what Pat Bryant in Denver is going to get more of an opportunity than maybe we thought. So I do wonder if maybe we'll look back and say, man, and probably swing the pendulum too far, as we often do. But maybe that'll be some of the storyline this year. I don't know.
I love that answer. That's something that I dug into on an episode this summer where I looked at how ADP has sort of morphed with rookies. And it's happening, like at least compared, 5-6 years ago. Like we're definitely drafting rookies earlier than we were before, especially at running back. That's been the first position to sort of give in and
it makes sense.
We're like, yeah, right. Like we're like, sure, we'll take a second round running back, a third round running back, whatever. And it's starting to happen at wide receiver. It's just that so far, to your point, like we haven't seen it be a bad idea, right?
Right.
Like when you go back and you look at how these guys finished and how they finished versus cost, the rookies are awesome. Like they're some of the best bets that you can make. And so you might be right. Like maybe if we get another good season, like this is just another, and I do think that when you stack them like that, when you get year after year after year, that's probably just another thing that people think about in their head. And they're like, oh man.
Well, and you look at like success rate for players drafted in whatever, 11th, 12th, 13th round. I find myself more and more just wanting to like shoot a shot at 3 or 4 rookies in a row, potentially.
Right. Like who cares?
Because the swing to the upside is so high on some of those potential outcomes. If 2 of them don't pan out and 2 of them do, that's way better than 4 mediocre picks in the 11th through the 15th. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if they deliver or not.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think this year it's going to be really interesting too at running back just because it was such a good class. And there were, I did say this offseason, I was like, technically we don't have any data that shows that like, or at least from what I was studying, that like deep running back classes equate to running backs getting drafted later in drafts, right? Like it just, because it's hard to really measure that, because we'd have to have some sort of measurement of like sentiment about the draft class, and that just doesn't necessarily exist. With that being said, I think that we could see that happening here a little bit. There's just so many good running backs, and I think that there's so many good day 3 guys that not only had good talent profiles, but also the alignment of opportunity too is there. And so, yeah, I think that's a really, really interesting answer, and one that folks will definitely be thinking about as the season goes on. Let's talk about quarterback. Sure. Is this a year where it could be a good, I'm going to pat myself on the back, late round quarterback year, or is it not? And then are there any quarterbacks that you're eyeing late right now?
I think there's a lot of late round. I wouldn't want to be really stuck in the middle at all this year. I tend to lean towards like taking the shot on kind of the back end of those top 5. I don't know if you have Burrow in that group, but I'd be fine taking the best value on the Lamar, Jaden, Hurts, Allen, Burrow group, or just punting straight through the middle. And Dak is sitting out there, and it's a tough start to the season, but it's in we saw what he did 2 years ago. I've kind of been, blowing the horn on maybe Jordan Love. Yep.
I love that.
Banged up, didn't really get to run the football much last year, had the QB5 finish, but there's other exciting names. Like there's players that you actually draft and you're like, man, this could work out, like Drake May, like Bo Nix, Caleb even. I mean, maybe you pair 2 of them with the last couple picks of the draft and you take that shot. I think it's really interesting to see, some of those names in the back half being so young and having the upside. I think it could work out this year for sure. I think the harder picks are players that we really like Baker. I love Baker. I loved what he did for my team last year, but it's like, you got to spend up on Baker.
Right.
Does he throw 40 touchdowns again? There are bigger question marks and risks there. I hate being in that middle round where you're like, I'm locking this guy in as my starter, but there is volatility. So I think that there are some names I definitely take a shot on late.
Yeah, I see the quarterback position pretty similarly. With the Burrow thing, I have him sort of in his own tier after.
I think that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
And part of it to me is, I just don't think he should be going as close as he's going to Jalen Hurts, because Philadelphia could throw the ball 120 more times this year than they did last year, and Hurts obviously has that floor with the rushing, and we know that the rushing touchdowns will be there. And then Burrow, like nothing against Burrow, it's just that if he's going to go close to Hurts, I'm going to always take Hurts, aside from best ball environments and stuff. But let me ask this: like Mahomes is usually the next guy after Burrow, right? And we could say Baker after that, or somewhere along those lines. Maybe things change a little bit because of all the injuries going on with the Tampa Bay wide receivers. But like, let's just use Jordan Love as the example here. What do you think the odds are, 0 to 100%? And you can just split this like 60-40 in Mahomes' favor, whatever, between Mahomes and Jordan Love of who would outperform the other one in fantasy football this year.
I'm probably 50-50.
Yeah, like I don't think it's that dramatic, right? Like,
yeah, I think that's a good argument. Yeah,
right.
I think it's 50. I'm 50-50.
There's just so many of those dudes, Jordan Love or Justin Herbert or whoever, like whoever ends up, like I've been doing a
Kyler.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can keep naming them.
Yeah, there's just dudes everywhere. And I'm doing Superflex drafts. I think that this is most exploitable in Superflex this year, because I just as anecdotally, I'm in a few right now and they're slows. And, if I don't get a top 4 pick where I can just get one of the big quarterbacks, like, and even if you want to get a Burrow in like the late first and the second, that's understandable. But I'm in these drafts, and instead of opting for these quarterbacks, I'm just piling up these elite wide receivers and really good running backs. And still in the 5th and 6th round, I'm getting Justin Herbert and Jordan Love as my 2 quarterbacks, like at like QB 17, QB 19 type price tags. And I'm saying to myself, that's a massive value versus the team that just got Patrick Mahomes in the late second, early third, like
that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And so like, I just see this really, really flat quarterback landscape where sure, we could say maybe we favor Mahomes, maybe, but like you said, it's probably not nearly as dramatic, especially look what he's done the last couple of years, right?
Like, he's been a major problem the last couple of years because you're so committed to him and then you never take him out of your lineup.
Exactly. And that's also a huge problem, is that you don't feel, or a good part, at least I should say, about late round quarterbacking. You don't feel so committed to these guys where you're like, oh, I got to start this guy each and every week. Whereas you could, go with a situation where you draft the quarterback, you're starting him in good matchups, and you just pick up another guy, maybe if he's in a bad matchup, and you kind of go from there. You're not really doing that typically with a Mahomes or a Baker if you're taking them in the top 8.
Yeah, you feel so committed to them, and especially Mahomes with the history in fantasy, right? Like when you've done it before. I think we went through this with Russell Wilson one time in Seattle.
That's true.
Where like he was drafted, I don't know if it was 4th, 5th, 6th round, and it was like every week he was killing you.
Yeah.
Every week you had to keep playing him because you're projecting in your head all the preceding seasons. So you take, you're so rigid on it. It is just, it is one of the advantages of, like you said, the later round quarterback situation. And it is also one of the fears with Burrow, like you said, because I did bring this up on the show recently about are we viewing Baker and Burrow too differently?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like Burrow, we're willing to say, hey, he's in this, I guess, Aaron Rodgers phase of his career where 40 touchdowns is like a preconceived guarantee. Right. Whereas Baker just did it and it's like, oh, he's definitely regressing.
Right.
It's like, wait, 40 is hard to hit. I think it's 11 times in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to foregone conclusion. Burrow has 40, but Baker's not going to get 40. I just feel like that's a little bit maybe inconsistent. And maybe that's why those 4 top guys really need to be the locks, and then Burrow can kind of float around.
Yeah.
And be the guy that you definitely take if you have Chase, because that would be really fun. But it's interesting because, like you said, there's probably 8 or 10 guys late that you could put them in almost any order and make the argument as to why they outperform the other person.
Yeah, I just think people need to open their minds a little bit about how volatile. I did this study in the draft guide, and I found that if you split up quarterback points into rushing points per game and passing points per game, rushing points per game year over year has a correlation in R squared of 60-ish%, right? So it's pretty strong, pretty solid, which makes sense because the same dudes are running every season and the same dudes are not running every season, right? When it comes to passing, the correlation is 0.03. It's 3%.
Wow.
There's basically no correlation. And of course, you can look at the individual circumstance and say that a guy like Burrow, we should feel more confident that Burrow in this situation, horrible defense, great pass catchers. Of course we're going to project him better. But I do think it speaks to just the natural volatility of how touchdowns are scored, where a guy could have an 80-yard bomb that goes down to the 1 and it's scored as fewer points than a 1-yard touchdown pass. It's just the way that it works in this stupid game that we play. Matt
Ryan MVP season.
That's right. Yes,
we didn't get a bunch of them. We got that one.
Right. Exactly. And and this is exactly why, last year when CJ Stroud got steamed up into the early rounds, it was more of an obvious fade, just because it's not something that's very sustainable when the rushing production isn't there. And so I look at a player like Stroud. I look at a player, pick your poison, to me, it's whoever the falling value is in your individual draft at that is capable enough, just go after that dude. Or if it's a second year quarterback with immense upside, just because of the ambiguity and us not seeing it all yet, whether it's Caleb or Bo Nix or Drake May, whoever falls, go for that. But yeah, it's weird to me that people get fixated on, some of these pocket passers, and the market's starting to see through it all, but it's still happening every year,
Yep. No, it's right. And there's a lot of names out there this year. So Stroud, man, that was a tough year. You saw it happening, and it was an easy fade for us. But man, the excitement's there. It might be a boat, right? You could have the next Mahomes. It's just too tantalizing.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think anyone was, I don't want to be Captain Hindsight and be like, oh, I knew that CJ Stroud was going to average 13 fantasy points per game.
No,
whatever it was,
not.
right? But it's more so just, you're just playing probability and saying that I'm going to be lower than, where other people are drafting him, or I'm going to be higher, or whatever. But I think, I don't know, it sounds like you're a go big or go home at quarterback this year. You either
that's the way it feels.
Guys. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely the way it feels.
Yeah, I think so too. Something that I've also thrown around over the last month is the fact that this wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range. So guys, in that wide receiver 15 to 40 range, it's a wide range, but in that area, I think that we are going to find a lot of make or break type picks. So I got to ask you, in that range, who do you like the most at wide receiver this year?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pile of names, I think. One of the ones we were just talking about when we were doing the Footcast this afternoon or maybe it was the show this morning. It all blends together anymore.
Yeah.
But it's DK Metcalf, right? Like, because I think he's outside the top 15, right? He's probably around 20. It's just really hard to look at his situation and not, barring injury, see a target share and a total target number that probably surpasses everything he's ever had. And just listening to comments from like Ben Roethlisberger watching camp, like, I just don't know who you throw the ball to other than DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh. And there's tremendous fear, I think, with Arthur Smith being Arthur Smith. But that's also that category that you said 15 to 40 where, Travis Hunter's in that mix. Tedero is in that mix. Mm-hmm. Those are those rookies that would be fun to take a shot at. Pickens on the new team is in that mix. Ridley, who still put up 1,000 with nothing last year. Cam Ward is there, and I think he's an interesting kind of maybe post-hype sleeper. At least that would be my case because I made him my guy last year and that didn't work out. But Rome's in that group, another sophomore. So, I think it's interesting. It definitely, we kind of had the conversation like how somebody asked us in a mailbag show, like how late, if I wanted to wait on wide receiver, could I wait? Mm-hmm. And you'd feel comfortable. And it was kind of, we're kind of sitting there going, well, in the if you wait till the third round, you're in that Marvin world, maybe. Right. But if you keep waiting, you're still in the DK world. Yeah,
which is probably not far off from the Marvin world.
It's not. I mean, that's the same. It's like the Mahomes argument with the other guys in the back.
Exactly.
They could be exactly the same. And like, I'm a huge Jameson Williams fan. He's in that group.
Same.
So I think that you could wait a little while if you needed to and pile them up and throw a few rookies in there and maybe you'd be happy. I don't know. Debo might even be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's a lot of depth in that range, and it's so flat, like you said, where I feel bad. Like I don't. There's no way
differentiating between them.
Yeah, right. I don't want to reach for Marvin Harrison Jr. or Garrett Wilson. I don't feel great about reaching for those guys when I know that the next round I can get a George Pickens or a Jameson Williams, like you said, and so I do think that like that third round is really for me, it's around like JSN. I draw the line because I think that the talent is pretty undeniable and he's just really good. But I can even understand someone wanting to throw JSN into that bucket just because of the question marks.
Mike's scared of him more than I am, and I'm like, you're on the fence.
Right. So like I can even understand that. And so are there any? So actually, let me throw this to you because late round perspectives. The intent here is for me to throw some of my takes that I've had and to see what other analysts might think about it. Now, with there being such immense upside among that group of wide receivers, I've sort of, in the way that I've ranked, in the way that I've talked about these guys, this is something that I've really done over the last like month and a half. I've really started to push away and push down the players who I see are more floor play and not ceiling plays, right?
Sure.
And so the three that come to mind, or two that come to mind, I'll say, would be Zay Flowers as one and Courtland Sutton as another. Now, the Courtland Sutton one might be a little bit controversial. The Zay one seems like you agreed with immediately.
Oh, 100%. Zay is, somebody said, like, is that the weakest stack you can draft? Is the Lamar Zay Flowers stack?
right.
And it's weird because you don't want to, like, I don't want to disparage what Zay brings to the Ravens.
Right.
It's
He's good
just
for what he does.
But for fantasy, it's like, I think the differentiator between him and Sutton, like, and I can see the Sutton argument too. Maybe, the running game, they had nothing last year. That should get going in Denver. You have a lot of talent in the younger wide receivers.
Right.
At least Sutton could score 10 times.
100%. That's absolutely the fear with Sutton is that what if he just has 30 to 35% of the team's receiving touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't know if you can believe in Bo Nix without believing Sutton can get to 8 to 10 touchdowns.
I think that's super
minimum.
fair. I think that's super fair.
But Zay Flowers, it's like, we've done this a couple of years. We kind of know what Zay Flowers is, I feel like. And if he scored 8 to 10 times, I'd be blown away shocked if that happened.
I mean, the Ravens had 41 passing touchdowns last year.
That's it.
And Zay Flowers had not only did he only score 4 times, he had an expected touchdown total that was like 4.2 or something. So it's not even like they were using him a lot.
It wasn't hanging out there.
Yeah, right. He's just not being used there. And I do think that's definitely the touchdown side for Sutton is definitely part of what scares me. The side where I come on with Sutton is when I look at that range, one of the things that I always look at is like contingent upside too, right? So like George Pickens if CeeDee Lamb goes down, Devontae Smith. We've seen Devontae Smith get a 30% target share without even just Dallas Goedert not being in the lineup, right? So there's multiple outs for Devontae Smith. I don't think Courtland Sutton has that really, right? So he doesn't really have that kind of contingent upside. And then, like you said, there's the arguably probably more competition for targets just in terms of the talent level.
I think so.
Evan Ingram being there, and I'm a big Pat Bryant guy. I think Marvin Mims could take a step, and
Troy Franklin's
having a good, and then they have this really good offensive line, and they invest in their running backs, and they have an elite defense. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Courtland Sutton. By the way, Courtland Sutton has never finished in PPR points per game higher than wide receiver 25 in his career, which is shocking.
That's wild. I used to be, I'd kind of given up on Courtland Sutton.
Right.
I had definitely gotten to that point. I think a lot of us had where it's like, it's just never going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, he does feel like he is very dependent on the touchdowns.
Yeah. So
you're not going to have that kind of ceiling. Yeah.
And that's definitely my fear. In saying, I wouldn't say that I'm like full fade, but at the same time, I have a lot of the, a lot of the younger players ahead of him. At this point, I'm drafting Emeka Egbuka ahead of Courtland Sutton, which might be a hot take, but I can see it. See the situation really formulating well for him at the moment. So
is DJ Moore in that group?
Yes, I was going to actually, that was the third.
Players?
If you remember,
I was wondering.
If you remember, I was like stuttering and I was like, there's three. There's three. DJ Moore is
DJ Moore's the other one?
Yeah, DJ Moore's the other one, where the Moore thing to me is about just, I don't know how he's going to be deployed. There's so many question marks about that side, the X's and O's side. And that just scares me enough to be like, yeah, I'm going to be 8 wide receiver spots lower than the market with DJ Moore.
He's in such a weird situation. I was just scanning the names and I was looking at a name that I thought rang that same bell as Flowers and Sutton. And that was the one for me, was DJ Moore, where I could see both outcomes. I could see myself, because I just don't end up drafting him.
Yeah.
I haven't mock drafted DJ Moore. I haven't really drafted DJ Moore. And I could see myself being like 3 weeks into the season going, what was I thinking? This is going to be another 90 plus catch season, and he plays well. And then I can see him just not really having a place, like you said. I mean, taking a bunch of short area targets and carries out of the backfield, and Luther Burden's involved, and Loveland's involved, and Rome's involved. So, he feels like one of those players where I just never have my emotional state to take him is never there.
Yeah, right. But like at the same time, you look at where he's being drafted, it's usually amongst like the Metcalfs of the world, the Jamos of the world. And then Rome Odunze is going a round or two later. And to me, the ceiling outcomes are actually, I would argue that Rome Odunze has a higher ceiling outcome than DJ Moore does,
Yep.
And like you have kind of a redundant asset with Moore to Luther Burden, not in the way that they're going to line up per se, but in the short outlet for Caleb Williams, like the lower A dot kind of looks. And, last year DJ Moore had a lot of those sort of manufactured touches. And I honestly, part of me has a problem too, when you compare the 3 Bears wide receivers last year, and everyone wants to just like crap on Keenan Allen all the time. And Keenan Allen had a better targets per route run rate last year than DJ Moore did. And his yards per route run wasn't that far off from DJ Moore. So either the market's really wrong about Keenan Allen, which I think they are kind of wrong about Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But then they're probably a little bit wrong about DJ Moore as well, if we're going to compare and contrast in that way.
I think Moore will be 29 next year, and those other 3 guys on the team are 21 to 23 years old. It's like, you got a new head coach, you're building this offense. Like, how integral to this offense will DJ Moore be this year? I don't know. I mean, he's always done kind of what's asked of him, which, I mean, he's always been a player that I think we know can bring you bigger numbers than he ever brings you, except for 2 years ago, I think, the wide receiver 6 year. But yeah, he's just a weird player to draft, because it's a vote for DJ Moore, and it's a vote for Caleb, and it's a vote for Ben Johnson and the Bears. And it's just tough to be in. Yeah.
I mean, and let's be honest, the vibes are a little off with DJ Moore.
Yeah, they are. And, I'd rather take Rome for sure.
Oh yeah. Rome at value for me is easy. Even if I look at like my best ball portfolio, I think Rome's one of my highest rostered, and DJ Moore's not, it's just an easier click to make. Let's talk about a rookie running back who is steaming up draft boards, going absolutely nuts, may or may not be one of my MVP picks this season. So we'll see.
Right.
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't fully decided.
You teasing it, testing it out, see what it sounds like on your lips?
Teasing so that people then go to the Ballers and they hear what I have to say about an MVP this year.
That's right. We do have an MVP show coming up.
That's right.
Featuring JJ.
Yeah. Hopefully not young 8-year-old JJ in the with the
I don't know if that'll ever go away. You can blame Mike on that.
I don't think it will. Last year I did call you guys losers before.
Okay.
And so at least that was justified. This year, maybe I'll come with kindness and see if it changes or not. But regardless, Travion Henderson is that player. He's getting steamed up like crazy. So I'm going to play a little game with you. I know you guys like games over there at the Ballers.
Sure.
I'm going to play a game where I'm going to say Travion Henderson or running back X. Okay.
Terrifying. Go on.
And we'll go. Yes. We'll go player by player here. I'm going to start with Travion Henderson versus Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah. Disclaimer.
And we'll go with full PPR here to make it even more interesting.
Oh gosh, you had to do that.
Yeah, we're gonna go.
All right, give me Travion.
Okay, yeah. See, this is gonna
full PPR. You'll give me Travion.
This is where it's gonna be more interesting. Okay,
give me Chuba in a standard.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go Travion or Kenneth. Well, actually, before we go, let's go Travion or Breece Hall.
I'll take Travion there.
Yeah.
I'm in a draft right now, and I'm telling you, it's an expert draft. All of us have I ended up having to draft Breece Hall.
Yeah.
He dropped 4 or 5 rounds from ADP. Nobody wants to take him right now.
I know that. And that's why with Breece, and I know we'll get a little off topic here. I had him originally because he checks so many boxes on paper in terms of like before a lot of the, split backfield stuff and before we saw the ineptitude of the offense and all of that, like the receiving stuff is there, the talent profile's there, the existing production's there, like everything's there that we would want from like a top 18 running back. But then you start to see all the negatives I'm trying to be rational as possible with Breece. And if you look at historical data and if you assume like what kind of target share do you think Breece Hall is going to have this year?
With Justin Fields,
but also the lack of anything outside
Where
of
was he at last year?
He was at like 13.9%, I think, last year.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like this leaving on third down thing. Not that third down's the be all end all. I don't know. Probably around the same place.
Yeah. So like, let's say 13 to 15%. Somewhere around there.
That's probably where I'd go.
Yeah. So if you look at historical, like this is more PPR focused, I would say, because it does go down a little bit in half, but it's still relevant in half. Like if you look at players who had 30 to 50% running back rush shares and 13 to 15% target shares. I only know this off the top of my head because I literally wrote a newsletter about it yesterday. I'm not that freakish, but so when you look at players who are in that sort of bucket, they outperform the players who are in the 50 to 70% running back rush share with an 11% sub 11% target share.
That's very interesting.
Right? So
That's
it's
very
like
interesting.
It just goes back to the fact that I think the fantasy market still doesn't fully appreciate what a target does for a running back's bottom line.
Yeah.
And especially in that PPR format, which is why it's so interesting to me how, not to say that it's bad steam and bad hype, but there's a lot of that going on this year, whether it's Braylon Allen, whether it's Jordan Mason, Tank Bigsby, these players who we can see an outcome where they're relevant, but I don't know how relevant. Like that's the big question for me, like
interesting.
I don't know how high, just because the target share ceiling might not be there for them.
Yeah, those are all players that like if you're talking about Aaron Jones, you're talking about Breece Hall. The vibes aren't positive because we no longer have the potential for our dreams to come to fruition.
Right.
For them to be to be that top 5, top 10 draft pick for the future. So the sentiment is turning on them. But if the opportunity doesn't change, the production should be good, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And also what if we're kind of wrong with some of the projections, and what if we're wrong with what if Breece Hall still sees 50 to 60% of the team's running back rushes? He was at like 68% or something last year. I think that
still catches a ton of passes.
Yeah. And still catches a ton of passes. And, his touchdown ceiling is going to be capped, because Braylon might see more work at the goal line and Justin Fields will see some. Their offense isn't going to be that good, but I still see an outcome where he's top 18 at the position. in that full PPR format? Like, I'm assuming you're comfortably Chuba over Breece based on this conversation.
Yeah, I would be. Yeah, okay. That's where I'm at right now. And I'll say Travion too, just because, explosive plays, potential for him to run away with it. But it is one of those things where we get fatigued with certain players, especially ones that were extremely highly drafted in Dynasty historically.
Yeah, burned us.
And you feel like you've been burned, or they're not what they should be, or, that's still a tough place to play right now in New York. I
wish I liked the offense more. Well,
I know.
TreVeyon Henderson is basically, from a peripheral standpoint, probably Breece Hall, just in a better offense.
That does, it makes sense.
That's how I've justified. That's why I'm like, I'm going to rank TreVeyon over Breece, because he's probably going to see a similar backfield share and target share, but he's in a more attractive offense. Yeah,
the path has become much clearer for TreVeyon really quickly. I think there was a part in the early offseason where I was like, well, no, they paid Ramondre and he's going to be productive. It's Mike Vrabel. He's going to make him go in there and earn it. And God forbid he fumbles, all of that type of stuff. But nope, give me the sexy new thing.
Okay, so you're TreVeyon over Chuba and Breece, and this is full PPR. Yeah. TreVeyon versus Kenneth Walker.
I hate Ken Walker. Give me TreVeyon.
Okay. Is that injury related mostly for you?
Yeah, it is injury, it's fatigue, it's Charbonnet belief. It is fool me thrice. I mean, it's all of those things. Mike is still in. He loves those sexy broken tackles and yards after contact numbers. I think I'm just done.
I'm in a tough spot with him because I like him a lot, and I had him as a target, and I still do technically. But it's hard to ignore what's going on with and I've always loved Charbonnet. So it's tough for me. But to me, it's Walker in that scheme. If Walker's healthy, I think he dominates. Just in that scheme, that big playability, that zone scheme.
It would be wonderful to see. I think the fantasy community has been waiting for healthy Ken Walker for a long time. And I
sure have.
It's so hard with the injury stuff. Like we always have these debates over it, because it's like, because Mike has CMC at 101.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like 3 of the last 5 years he's killed you. 2 of the last 5 he's won you your league.
Yep.
Open that door, figure out what you're getting on the other side. Higgins, Ken Walker. And then you get these just trickles of like Ken Walker. It's part of the plan. He's not practicing today.
Yeah,
it's part of the plan. It's part of the, and then T Higgins today. It's like,
of course,
he's good, but like there's names you just don't want to show up there in the preseason.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
So give me TreVeyon there. I'm still all TreVeyon here.
Yeah, it's like Tajay Spears is another one. It's like, of course.
It's just like naturally, or Marshawn Lloyd.
Marshawn Lloyd. He's the poster child of it. All right. Yeah. So you have TreVeyon over Kenneth Walker, Chuba, and Breece Hall. James Cook.
That's a good question. I think that one would come down to how much you believe in New England and that offense. Because obviously we believe in Buffalo. That one's close. I'd probably go James Cook still. If it was, TreVeyon's one of those dudes where it's like, man, if he's my RB 2 or 3, it's like I'm gonna take him over those guys. If he's got to be my one, I'd probably feel safer with Cook.
And then Amari and Hampton. I'm assuming you have Hampton over TreVeyon.
Yeah, I would go Hampton. Okay. Yeah, I would go Hampton. But TreVeyon is, it's one of those tantalizing rookies we were talking about earlier. It's just, I think the dude is, he's made to play. Yeah. He's made to play football. He is super talented, big playability, not the competition that you have to worry about, I don't think. Yeah. I don't know if you're in that same camp, but
I am. Yep.
It was funny the other day. I think there was a quote with Ramondre and Gibson were talking. I don't know if you saw that presser where he's like, they're both basically saying, I don't mind splitting time in the backfield. And Gibson's like, I love splitting time. And then I told Mike that, and Mike goes, they're going to split each other's snaps.
Right.
And I was like, you're probably right about that.
It's like 2 kids pretending to be their parent for work or something like that, It's like,
and TreVeyon's just like, okay, cool. Got you. Yeah, we're all a team.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about some ambiguous backfields since we're talking running back here. How are you going to handle the following backfields? I'll go one by one here. We'll start with Washington, which, by the way, speaking of insane co-hosts, how often do you sit on that show and you're like, we need to take the microphone away from Jason? Like,
he's got a magic mind. I think somebody gave a comment the other day and they were just like, how is Jason the smartest and dumbest guy on the show all the time? I'm like, I don't know. He's got a magical ability to do both of those things.
Yeah.
But you're talking about Bill Krosky?
I saw the Bill Krosky.
Bill Krosky.
That's right. I was dying. It was so good.
Yeah, it was outrageous. And what an off-season perfect fantasy storyline he is.
Yeah. Let's talk about him. So are you in, out? Are you more in on Eckler? Like, how are you looking at this
I saw some of these backfields, and it's like, first thing I do when I think about them is I throw up because I don't want to make a decision because I can't. They're really hard to weed through. I think the important thing with Krosky Merritt is like keep him in the sleeper box. I think I don't think I'm not of the camp that like, he's the anointed one in this offense. I mean, Brian Robinson, they talk about maybe they were trying to get rid of him last year too. Didn't like the scheme fit. He's really not bringing something unique to this team in terms of first and second down. So, I think Dan Quinn said today or yesterday, it was like, we see Chris Rodriguez on the goal line. And then you've got Austin Eckler there to take up a bunch of snaps. And, I think Krosky Merritt gets worked into that group. If Eckler went down, which is not, unforeseen or impossible, like all of a sudden I'm really interested, I think, in Krosky Merritt. But right now he's still in that sleeper category. I think Eckler's the back to own at a value. But, it's up for debate. You can shoot your shot.
Yeah, I saw, I had this conversation with Evan Silva when he was on my Players to Target episode, and I think that people kind of just assume that Krosky Merritt is like, wasn't going to impact Brian Robinson, that he was going to impact Austin Eckler more. But if you look at like his body of work in college, it was very much more early down and not much pass catching stuff. Like Eckler also last year, if there's one thing he was good at, he was still really efficient as a pass catcher. So yeah, I'm with you that Eckler,
and he was good on the ground too.
Yeah, I think Eckler,
inefficiency.
I think if you're looking at like pure value from a median projection standpoint, Eckler seems like the go-to, right? Just a guy who's going to probably outpace his ADP. Is he going to be a top 24 guy? Highly doubtful. Can you draft him at RB 55 or whatever the heck he's at and get, RB 35 or 40 production out of him? I think that's what we're looking at probably with Eckler. And then Krosky Merritt being like, are you interested in Chris Rodriguez at all? Like, do you see that as a 1-to-1 with B-Rob, or is that?
I think that's in the range of possibilities for sure. He hasn't had a lot of opportunity. He's definitely one of those players. If he's not on a dynasty roster, you got to throw him on there and make sure that you wait and see. A lot of these are wait and see backfields. Yeah. I look at Eckler almost a little bit like Jaylen Warren, who's probably one of the other backfields we'll talk about. But it's like you probably don't have, like you said, you probably have kind of a safer production floor. Yeah. Without the excitement of a Krosky Merritt being everything or an excitement of a Caleb Johnson. Those are sometimes the harder players to draft. It's more fun and exciting to take the other ones. And then there's always the chance they sit on your bench, not being played for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And you're going, well, did I waste a pick?
Yeah. And then you drop them and then they dominate after you drop them.
Always.
But no, I think it's true. Like, the difference, I think, from like Krosky Merritt and like Caleb Johnson is that hopefully, let's cross our fingers that this doesn't get like, remember when Darwin Thompson was getting hyped up?
Yes.
Wasn't he like a 6th round pick at one point?
Dude, Darwin, Kansas City, training camp.
Yeah, and that's what I fear is going to happen with JCM is like he's going to be, and already in the best ball streets, like he's a single digit round pick often. Like it's not an uncommon thing to see. And that's where I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit out of hand. But I do think that if people are rational about it, I would think that Krosky Merritt might be a more attractive value pick than like a Caleb Johnson. But let's talk about the Pittsburgh backfield because like, are you into Caleb, or is that your go-to, or are you just avoiding the backfield in general?
Yeah. I mean, I just took him in a draft. He went, a couple picks after like the Aaron Jones Mason thing in Minnesota. It was later in a super flex 9th round. Felt like he was the best value on the board at the time. Jason is super into Caleb Johnson. I wasn't as big of a fan of the college tape. I think, he's obviously walking into a huge opportunity. I worry about the beginning of the year for sure. Yeah. I worry about Jaylen Warren and Kenny Gainwell and the kind of like, hey, are we trusting him to be out there in pass protection with Aaron Rodgers? Right. Those things concern me a little bit. Talent has a way of working itself into the lineup, but I guess with the Tomlin offense and Arthur Smith, I get a little bit more nervous about Caleb having a true breakout year this year. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about him.
No, I'm in the same boat. I actually prefer, at least, especially a value, but I think I straight up prefer Warren at this point in like half and full, just because I'm pretty concerned about the pass pro stuff and who's under center for Pittsburgh, right? Like, the first blown protection from
That's
Caleb
it.
Johnson, it's game over. You know?
Yeah, it's Aaron looks over and says, "Don't put this guy out here on third down again."
Right. And not only that, isn't it kind of strange that Arthur Smith had one of the most generational running backs prospects that we've ever seen, and he didn't even give him a full workload as a rookie.
That's a strong point.
Now, to be fair, Tyler Algier was pretty efficient during that season, so I can't like totally fault it. But at the same time, how confident are we that like this is going to be Caleb Johnson's backfield when we have some evidence that Arthur Smith does not care about draft capital and does not care about that side?
No. And we got that evidence that we thought at the time was insane about Johnny Smith and Kyle Pitts. Turns out he was probably very right about Johnny Smith.
Right.
So I'm going to give him credit about that. But it's like, again, that was a draft capital situation where the whole world could have been yelling at, you just spent the whatever. It was Pitts the fourth pick?
Yeah. Fourth.
Yeah. So your early first round pick. And I was like, no, Johnny's the better player. Yeah. He was right about that. So, yeah, I think it's just really, really murky, and so much can go sideways for Pittsburgh. This offense is going to be, very different with Aaron Rodgers. I do think that Caleb's got staying power. He can certainly be a Najee Harris in the offense if they want to hand him those opportunities. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if they're going to do it. So it makes it a more nerve-wracking pick, and, I definitely would go Warren as well.
Yeah.
And so I'm with that side.
I like Johnson as a prospect. I just I think it's going to be a little bit slow moving. That's my general fear.
And that happens sometimes.
Yeah. Let's go to Jacksonville because there's obviously some potential for fantasy production out of there. How are you feeling about that backfield?
Awful. Feeling pretty awful. I had been a long time Travis Etienne truther. We went through last year. That was rough. Tank Bigsby. Right now it looks like he's going to have a lot of opportunities. First, second down, goal line. How many passes are we getting from Travis Etienne? Mm-hmm. That's the big question mark. I mean, you look at Liam Cohen, the success he was able to have last year using, obviously Bucky, Rashad White. You got Tootin in the backfield. I think if we get a top half offense, one of those guys should surprise to the positive side if we can somehow manufacture that. I think right now I lean Bigsby a little bit, but I hate the lack of pass catching. So
exactly right.
It just makes it kind of a disgusting situation for me where I am trying not to take them when they're on the board and somebody else is there.
I'm still crossing my fingers that we get some movement in Jacksonville trade-wise of some sort, whether it's Etienne or Bigsby.
Out the door?
Yeah, and because I think they like LaQuinn Allen too, who's was an awesome pass catcher from a prospecting standpoint. And if they move one of those guys and there was actually a quote from Liam Cohen today that was, and I don't have it in front of me, but it was something along the lines of like, yeah, you don't usually roster 4 running backs. Like him straight up saying it. And who knows, maybe LaQuinn Allen is the odd man out and they go that direction. But there's been a little bit of hype surrounding him, at times throughout the off season. And so I just wonder, and part of me, I'm a big Tootin guy. Okay. Yeah. I like to toot. You
trying to decide which joke to go with there.
Yeah, exactly. But I like Tootin a lot. I like him. I don't have him ranked as the highest, but I think he's the best value of the 3 only because I see a path of late season production from him. And I actually think this is my Galaxy brain take. You can tell me how stupid I am. I think that the Tank Bigsby stuff, if it's true and real, if Bigsby is the guy that they want to feature on early downs, I kind of prefer that more for the Tootin agenda than I would for ETN. Okay. Because ETN is more of that all-purpose kind of back that would be the bell cow, whereas Tootin might have some opportunity to jump in there a little bit more and show off his skill set.
Struggles.
If Bigsby's in there, struggles, or, obviously he's not much of a pass catcher and maybe there's some opportunity there. So that's the Galaxy brain take, but I'm still keeping an open mind for a trade to happen.
Yeah. Look, what are the 3 things that you want out of a backfield? You want the opportunity. We don't know exactly what it is in Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. You want the goal line opportunity. We think you think it's Bigsby.
Yeah.
But it might not be. It could be Tootin as well. Could get opportunities. Could be ETN. And then you want a winning football team, and we don't know if that's going to be in the equation for Jacksonville. So nerve-wracking to have confidence at that.
Yes. All right. I'll go one more ambiguous backfield real quick. Dallas. Is Dallas going to throw the ball 800 times this year? It might.
Yeah, the Dallas backfield's a great argument for George Pickens and Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson and all of the above. I mean, I don't know. Like, have you tuned in yet to sidebar here on Dallas? Have you watched any of the America's Team documentary?
Not yet. I just finished the Biggest Loser one that came out. Now
okay, I want to watch that too.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah, I'm like, and was that about Javonte or no? I'm just, but I'm watching this thing and I'm just like, it's so, it's Jerry Jones centric. It's all about them from when he bought the team.
Sure.
And there's all these amazing Western music and these characters coming in, but it's Aikman and it's Irvin and it's Emmett and but it's like Jerry's crazy, man. like that is, Jerry's he was crazy then and he's crazy now. And some of that crazy is crazy like a fox and he did great things. But a lot of it is just like how stubborn are you?
Yeah.
How stubborn are you with this backfield?
It's so interesting because it's like he's overcompensating for
Zeke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly. I know that's exactly what I was thinking. It's like your world was Zeke. It's like, we got to have Zeke. We got to spend on Zeke. We got to overspend on Zeke.
Yeah.
And then we're going to let Pollard go. And now we're just going to use has-beens. It's peculiar. It's weird. Maybe it's overcompensating or making up that budgetary item, like the line item in the budget for running backs been spent for 5 years.
Right.
It's crazy. I mean, what did we do last year? We overcommitted to Zeke again in the backfield while we were waiting for Dowdle to have some progress. And Dowdle was the best of the bad.
Right.
It's hard not to look at it this way with the same lens. What is it? Maffa and Miles Sanders are fighting for one roster spot. Jaden Blue. I mean, that would be the shot to me. I mean, I just don't have confidence in Javonte Williams at all. Yeah. What is the outcome that you're hoping for? A few Zeke weeks like last year and then somebody else takes over? It's gross, man.
I was drafting in the Kings Classic a couple weekends ago at the Hall of Fame, and in the snake draft, I went hero RB. I took CMC and just a bunch of wide receivers, and then I went and Javonte Williams is a 14-team league, and Javonte Williams was sitting there in like round 12. And before I announced the pick, I said, I'm going to vomit.
Oh gosh.
And I took Javonte Williams.
Welcome to the squad.
Only because I do think there's a chance that early season production could be there, right? Like,
should be
just really garbage 12 points per game for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Four catches for 9 total yards. Yeah, that type of game.
Yeah, and it's a full PPR league, so I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But Jaden Blue to me also is the guy that I would I mean, he looked pretty good in the Zap model. His top comp was like Justice Hill. Like it's probably that kind of player more than likely, but I think there's still a chance that they sort of deploy him in like not that he's this talented, but in like a Jahmyr Gibbsy kind of way, right? Where he's just getting some of those outlet passes and those looks out of the backfield. Maybe he's not going to be a 150 carry guy probably, but maybe a 100 carry guy and with like a 10, 11% target share is possible. Even if it's not, I mean, they're going to throw so much that even if it's an 8% target share, it could be a lot of targets just because of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's your best bet at any upside at all in that Dallas backfield. It's
bizarre.
It's weird, man. And you'd naturally go, oh, they'd be a good place for Brian Robinson to land, but I would say that's like a 0% chance. I mean,
it just seems like they're not
interdivision. No way.
And even the reporting, like it's like there's always teams, like I think Rossini had a tweet out today of like teams that would be interested in running backs, and I don't think Dallas was on the list, and it's never Dallas. Like we're always like, it's like every draft we're like, oh, Dallas is going to take a day 2 running back. Nope.
So weird, man.
Bizarre.
So weird.
All right, one more question before I let you go.
Yes, sir.
Who's the one player that everyone needs to leave their draft with this year?
I will go Jamison Williams.
Ooh, I love that pick.
I will go Jamison Williams. The whole offseason, right when it began, I kept waiting to see the ADP move up a little bit more. Being drafted at his floor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think missing 2 games last year really helped this whole offseason ADP world for him, where, you're still inside. He finished inside the top 20, but, being drafted outside that range, like Jamison to me is, they figured out, I think, what to do with him. And I think he's just going to be out there for so many snaps. You get the big play upside. You get an offense that, they could integrate him a little bit more. I'm excited about him. This is a hugely high draft capital talent that we haven't seen a full season from him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy that he barely, I think he had like a 20% target share last year, and he still, was like a fringe wide receiver 2 or in that wide receiver 2.
Yeah. I hope we get more.
Yeah. just imagine, and they should throw the ball a little bit more this year than they did last year. There's a lot to like about
that's my go-to, and you're drafting him where hopefully he's your flex, right? Maybe he's just a high upside wide receiver 2 for you if you go with one of the onesies. But yeah, that's my guy. Yeah,
JMO over Cortland Sutton for you.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm all day with that. Andy, man, this was awesome. It's so good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's super fun, man.
Let everyone know what you guys are doing, where they can find you, all that great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we just got the podcast rolling. We got the draft kit going on right now, trying to keep our head above water with all this news, and we'd welcome anybody on board that wants to supplement their JJ.
Yeah.
With what is it? Bill Krosky over here.
Yeah. Just
if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch out. Watch out. We're here to help you have a good time.
You can find all my stuff over on lateround.com. Draft guide is available for sale. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you check out the free newsletter. And we're also doing more YouTube stuff, youtube.com/@lateroundff. Andy, thanks again so much. And everyone else, thanks for tuning in.